You know, I used to just stroll in late, have everything ready.
You used to show up when you wanted, do whatever the fuck you wanted, leave whenever you wanted.
I know, and you took care of me through the whole process like a good admin should. But now you expect me to do shit for myself. What the fuck's happening around here?
It does make you wonder, what is the standard of performance that I should have towards you? And it ought to be higher. Let's be honest.
Let's just say it slipped and I disapprove.
Look, why don't I just try and suck less? Why don't I start there?
Because it sucks to suck, bro. Yeah, try sucking less.
It's good advice. And the kind of heartwarming and charitable response that I've come to expect from you. But we were talking about something on our walk today. What the fuck were we talking about?
Easter, despite the fact that, what did that bunny ever do for you?
Nothing. Not a damn thing.
And yet, Brad bought you an Easter bunny this year for Easter. Isn't that right?
He did buy me an Easter bunny for Easter this year, which was both incredibly endearing and yet a little weird. But no more weird than you suggesting at Easter dinner that perhaps we should have a family cuddle.
I did not suggest that. Something was said that then triggered Brad to embarrass Hattie by making Hattie tell all of us at dinner that she had had a dream in which we were all really into platonic cuddling as a family. And all I can say is that the idea of all of us cuddling is just so cute. And then we, of course, discussed that we should get a 4-person onesie and all be in it to cuddle. It was a highly entertaining meal.
It seems inappropriate. I'm going to be honest with you. Real inappropriate.
And yet, you're not real against it, are you?
I'm not really for it, no.
As long as you and Brad are on the ends.
I don't know what you mean by the ends. So
That's a good point. In a real group cuddle, there is no end.
Exactly. It's more like a human centipede of cuddling.
Gross.
A shin show.
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 Previously on a Shin Show.
There's 2 videos I can find dealing with Yoda in all of the internet porn. Okay, one of them, he's wearing like a hat with floppy ears, okay, and painted his face green, and he's wearing a sort of Jedi robe, okay, but like from the waist down, it's just a white dude. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, they didn't paint his legs or dick green.
They didn't paint any other part of
It
him
wasn't
green.
body
They couldn't at least make it green in post.
I don't think the
it's
budget
not-
was that high.
They're not using a lot of CGI in this, is what I'm getting.
That would have been so
So-
awesome if like they painted his legs, everything but his dick and balls green.
The next Smash Bros. Character confirmed: Yoda's white cock and balls.
Gross.
Really? Smash Brothers?
Yes, yeah. In Smash Bros, they have quite a large roster, 74 characters, something like that. You know, you got Mario, you got Bowser, you got Yoda's white cock and balls,
I see. I didn't
Yoda's
realize-
unpainted genitalia.
I did not know that Yoda was part of Smash Brothers, but did you know that a Super Mario Brothers game from 1986, still in the wrapper, this person bought it for someone for a Christmas present, but they forgot to give it to him and sat in a desk drawer for 35 years. It went this weekend at auction for $660,000.
Yeah, I was just talking to my friends Tyree and Dave last night, and I was thinking how I wish I could go back in time because Dave has spent a fortune on Pokemon cards, and because they're worth a lot of money now, especially the old ones we used to get as children. I wish I could go back in time and tell, like, who would have fucking thought when I was a kid, like those stupid fucking trading cards, of which I had hundreds. I threw them all away, or lost them, or pissed on them, or shit on them, whatever.
It is impossible to say what they might be worth today, but at the end
It's
of the day...
actually not impossible because they do have numerical value assignments online, but I just wish I could go back in time and be like, dude, I know these are fun. And like at school, we used to trade those things. Like that's what you did on the bus. That's what you did at recess. You pulled out the Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh cards and you traded them. I remember I told this kid that I had a Pokemon, or maybe it was Yu-Gi-Oh. It was some kind of card maker in my backpack. Like I had a machine in my backpack that could make any card your heart desires.
Oh, you just froze up. The fuck happened?
Anyway, I swindled this kid out of his fucking cards because I told him I had a magical machine in my backpack that could make any card his heart desired. And then, you know, I said, it'll be ready tomorrow. It's printing your card right now. And, I just kept saying that for years.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did that. It wasn't years that I kept saying that. It was just like a week or two until he stopped. Until he realized, I had some kind of plan to provide the card in question, some kind of heist planned, but, I just didn't do it.
Right. And so, as a result, he just suffered. He never got his card back.
No, of course not. That was a fair and square deal. He traded that. No givesies backsies.
He traded it for a future card that you never produced. So
That I never produced, and now that card is fucking gone. That card that I swindled him for is gone.
that's a shame. That could be the card that's worth $35 million.
Flush down the toilet like so much diarrhea. I don't think there's any card worth $35 million, but like a first generation holographic Charizard, a fucking hollow Charizard 1995 original card in mint condition is worth, and I'm going to give you a hint right now, it's probably not as much as you think.
$60,000.
I'm going to say $160,000.
It's $4,200.
Do I win something for being closest?
Yeah. You win homelessness.
Yes.
That's great,
You're
though.
outta here.
That's what I wanted.
But if you had hundreds of cards worth, say, an average of $50 a card, all of a sudden you've got a nice little collection.
Sure. Yeah, and that happens. There's a bunch of those. The thing is, they got to be mint condition.
Exactly.
I know Pokemon or fucking McDonald's was doing some kind of promo recently where they were giving out Pokemon cards, like packs, foil packs, and you would open them up and see what cards you got inside in Happy Meals. So this asshole went down and bought, I'd say, 75 Happy Meals.
And did he get the card he wanted?
I don't know. He hasn't opened any of them.
I see.
Because these packages are worth a certain amount because they're limited run, limited series, promotional. But here's what you do. You weigh the packages on a scale like it's cocaine, and fucking cards that have certain rare qualities to them will make the package weigh more or less or something like that. I don't know. The point is he's dropped a good couple grand on these Pokemon cards and will never sell a one of them.
Who's done this?
My friend Dave.
Of course it was Dave.
I mean, yeah, yeah. His house is filled up. He got a job at Goodwill, and his house is filled up with thousands upon thousands of T-shirts. And like every time I go over there, he's like, "Look at this! Bought this for $2. I just saw it listed for $450." And I'm like, "Great! You gonna sell it?" And he's like, "Well, it's up there." And then they just never.
They never sell?
His house just accumulates. He's certainly getting more shit faster than he's selling it. I mean, that's far faster.
I see. Well, is he making a living? That's the question.
I guess he could be making a killing. He really could if he wanted to.
Well, let me tell you something. If he wanted to, he could find and sell the Pokemon Illustrator card, which sold in October 2019 for $224,000, 250 cents. Or something
200,000?
like
Is that what you said?
over 200,000, yeah, $224,250.
Yeah, actually, I do know about that. The Pokemon Illustrator card. The only one rarer than that is the Mr. Mime 1991 edition, where it depicts two homeless guys blowing each other in Central Park
Nice.
in Japanese manga style.
That's very rare. No,
And it's holographic. So as you move it back and forth, one homeless guy is blowing the other this way or that way.
Nice.
that was considered state of the art at the time.
Yes, of course. It was literally like a hologram leaping up off the card to show you two homeless gentlemen performing fellatio on one another.
Yes, no doubt, Jerome. Anyway, 1997 Trophy Pikachu Trainer card. Now, they don't have one, but an estimated value is $75,000 to $100,000. That's for the 97 Trophy Pikachu Trainer card.
Okay, we don't need to talk about the value of every single specific Pokemon card,
Yeah,
do
really
we?
just the
because
top
this
one
is
was
going to
good
be the most boring pod I've ever heard in my life.
Welcome again to A&E's 2021 National Pokemon Card Rarity Judging Contest. I'm your host, Krev Kleskisnin. Today we're going to be listing off from most to least expensive all the rarest Pokemon cards that were traded in the early 2000s and late 90s. Up first, we have a Mr. Mime's Erect Penis holographic trainer card. That's going to be worth $5.5 million. Someone was assassinated for this card, and it was worth it. That itself, the assassination, is also printed on another holographic training card, which is worth yet another $5.5 million. Join us for the next 6.5 hours as we continue reading off these stats.
Yeah, that sounds great. I wish we'd have done more of that. I'm glad you lampooned it. But I did want to talk for a second. You, Nick, have talked to me about moving to New Zealand. And New Zealand, they just raised the minimum wage to $20 an hour. Now, 20 New Zealand dollars an hour, which is, of course, equivalent to $5 American dollars, I guess. But
Sure.
the bottom line is that they have a very reasonable minimum wage. They have a very reasonable policy. And I like this Jacinda Ardern. She's quite something, this relatively young prime minister, still in her late 30s.
Yeah. What do you like about her?
I like that she is thoughtful. I like that she has raised the minimum wage. I like that she does things for family and for her country. I love the fact that they absolutely clobbered coronavirus.
Yeah, they did. They held it down and fucked it for sure. But one thing that they didn't do was have cooler accents. So that's that's a strike against them. And now if I were Prime Minister of New Zealand, I would make it absolutely mandatory for everyone to start talking in a cooler accent.
That's a good point. They could have better accents down there, although I like it. I think they're pretty good.
I like it, yeah. It's mild Australian.
Is it really?
But it's a little stronger in some weird ways. Like the E's are really more E, which is a little annoying.
Yeah, if Australian is lemonade, New Zealand accent is lemon water. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a lemon LaCroix.
It's
which,
a little...
as we know, LaCroix are the worst drinks on earth.
Yes. Oh, my God. Your father loves LaCroix. I don't understand what's wrong with him.
I wonder if there's any of that coconut LaCroix left. Do you think there is?
Coconut
There might
LaCroix?
be.
I'm going to go check. Hang on.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not
Coconut
kidding.
Motherfucking LaCroix?
It's the least offensive of the LaCroix, if you ask me, but it's still fucking offensive.
Yeah.
Why would you take something as delicious and wonderful as water and make it shitty?
Yeah, just make it like gross in every way.
Yeah, every possible way.
What's next is what I'm asking. What flavor? What are they just going to have ball sweat LaCroix?
Aren't they all flavored ball
Yeah.
sweats?
Here at LaCroix, we have a very secret ingredient, family ingredient of dipping our sweaty balls into each vat and then one drop of flavoring into our seltzer water. Seltzer water, bubbly water.
It does tingle on the tongue just like ball sweat.
Whoever came up with the carbonated water just on its own, it's like, yeah, you know how water is that one drink that you can drink as fast as you want? Yeah, well, let's make it so that you have to drink it slow.
And let's make you burp a lot after you drink this water that you drink specifically to provide a healthy influx of moisture into your body. What do you need this weird, unappetizing flavor for? And then all this effervescence. What's the point?
Look, drinking seltzer water, flavored or no, is the drinking version of self-flagellation, is what it is.
You know what it is? And I'm going to tell you this right now. It's delicious.
When you stop being a shill for LaCroix, maybe you can sit back and think about how objectively awful all seltzer water is.
I'm going to cut all that out.
Yeah, well, you would. See, because you're part of some elitist, liberal, left-wing spun media that only lets your opinion get across, whereas my based, valuable, virtuous opinion of public fellatio amongst homeless people doesn't even get out to the children.
You got a one-track mind tonight, but I'll tell you, this LaCroix is good. Nothing wrong with it. I like water con gas. All right, speaking of boring subjects, did you know, you probably knew this, but did you see that I sent that there was this interrogator with the Luftwaffe, which was the Nazi equivalent of the Air Force. It was the Nazi Air Force in World War II. And he was responsible for interrogating downed U.S. airmen, those that survived. And his approach was to buddy up to the airmen. He'd give them special treats, give them smokes, give them desserts, just shoot the shit with them. Just come off as a nice guy.
Pull the bamboo shoots out of their pee holes.
He never put any in. It was all...
Somebody else did. He's the guy who comes in and takes them out. It's the good Nazi, bad Nazi routine.
No, the whole point was there was no bad Nazi routine in this interrogation technique, which is why it was so successful.
Yeah, I actually remember... I don't really remember, but he was just talking absentmindedly to one of his detainees on one of their lovely walks through the lilac gardens of a Nazi prisoner of war camp. There's something about the color of smoke that some Allied forces flares use, and he's just like, yeah, I bet that smoke means that they're going to advance in this direction. And the prisoner was like, no, the smoke means they do this, this, and this. And then the interrogator's like, oh, that's very interesting. Have another smoke.
Exactly. It's been well known since World War II that the best interrogation techniques have to do with, yes, keeping the subject off balance, but ultimately you're going to have to befriend the subject. You have to make sure that the subject understands that they're totally in your power, but that you only want good things for them. And because you only want good things for them, you naturally are interested in the same things that they're in. Like, for example, all their secret plans.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's like forcibly inducing Stockholm syndrome is what you want to do. That's the way to get a good intel out of your hostages, because torture, it's not a reliable source of information. So if you're fucking waterboarding somebody because you think they have plans to some kind of bomb, like, obviously, no matter what, they're going to tell you, like, I don't know the plans. So under torture, like, if they really don't know the plans, but you're torturing them and they're telling you they don't, like, they're just going to say something to make you stop torturing them. The information that you get from them is not going to be reliable because it's under extreme duress, if it's real at all. And then, like, if you just jump right into torture, how do you know where is your final truth-telling stick? You know what I mean? You have nothing to threaten. I mean, you can always torture someone in new and fantastical ways, but if you're being kind to them, but the threat of torture is always over their head, they're more inclined to tell you the truth in the first go around.
Well, it all depends on how much you want to know the truth. If you don't really care about the truth, but you just want a confession, then raw brute force, we're going to melt down lead and pour it in your ass crack. That's something that the Spanish conquistadors used to do. There's been plenty of unique and horrifying tortures devised over the years. We could go into that at some length. I don't know why we would, though.
That's called extracting a confession. That's different from, there's a difference between extracting a confession and gaining reliable intel.
Actionable intel. That's a true statement right there. There's a big difference between extracting a confession, which is not that hard to do.
No, of course not. Not if you have any tools, anything. A rock,
It's true. I extract confessions from your father all the time.
Sure, under duress.
Although, in fairness, rarely has she pointed a weapon at me. Rarely.
Is she pointing a weapon at you right now underneath the view of the camera?
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you.
He's
Just
pretty
blink
weak.
twice if she has a gun aimed at your crotch. That scene in Inglourious Bastards where they're all in the basement playing the fucking who's who on their forehead and he pulls out the gun and points it right at his dick.
It would appear there's only one thing left for you to do.
And what would that be?
Stiglitz.
See how Wiedersehen to your Nazi boss.
I remember that scene.
Who was it? The British guy who could speak really good German.
Was it Ralph Fiennes? It wasn't, but...
No. He was also in Captain Marvel as the fucking guy. He's in a whole... Jude Law.
Jude Law.
Was
Yeah.
it?
No.
Wasn't it?
He wasn't in Inglourious Bastards, was he?
Who's the fucking guy who Michael Myers, briefs?
Yeah, no. You know who it is. It's Hugh Jackman. Not Hugh Jackman,
No.
but...
Hugh Jackman is not in fucking Inglourious Bastards. Now I'm going to have to look it up.
no,
Yes. Don't stop speculating. Stop arguing.
no, it's that one guy. He was in The Prestige, maybe.
Really? Now you're just saying shit. I think he was in a movie once. Let's just name any movie I can think of.
No. He's quite famous. He's been in a number of things.
Right. Not like those other shitty actors who aren't
Michael
in any
Fassbender,
movies.
that's who it is.
That
Michael
is.
fucking Fassbender.
Michael
For fuck's
Fassbender.
sake. He was young Magneto.
He was young Magneto.
Let's just say I'm Frankenstein's monster. And I'm looking for my creator.
And he was also the robot in the Xenomorph films. What the hell were those films?
Prometheus?
Yes, Prometheus.
Hello. I'm David.
What can you do, David?
I can do almost anything that could possibly be asked of me. I can assist your employees. I can make your organization more efficient. I can carry out directives that my human counterparts might find distressing or unethical.
Which had such good potential and then just turned into duty.
It was Duty. It was a terrible film, I thought.
Speaking of duty, I think your dad just shit his pants.
That's not true. I just passed a little gas.
And by a little, I mean all the gas in that fucking LaCroix he just drank suddenly came out his asshole.
That's not true.
Filtered through
Very
his
ju-
digestive system and colon as a sort of toxifier. and came out the other end as a noxious fume that will get you high.
We've had this discussion last week. Anyway, no, it won't.
We did, but did I explain just exactly how methane gets you high? Have I ever explained on this podcast that kid in Alabama who explained to me how they get high off shit?
No, you got to be kidding me, right?
No, I'm not kidding. That's what I said to him. I was like, yeah, I thought he was joking the whole time. Through my laughter, he's like, I'm not kidding. This is what we do. Here's what they do. You take a 2-liter bottle. You know how big a 2-liter is?
Yeah, it's 2 liters.
Of Mountain Dew, and it has to be Mountain Dew because the green of the tint green on the bottle helps focus the sun's rays to create a sort of superheated chamber. But what you do,
This already sounds like bullshit.
you cut the 2-liter in half, and then you take the top half, you throw it away. The bottom half, you
Right.
take a big fat shit in, okay? And then you take a balloon, and then you stretch the balloon over the mouth of the bottom half of the 2-liter. And the fumes from the shit will fill this balloon naturally. Now you got a methane balloon, and you snap the balloon off, put your lips up to the, where you would blow the balloon and fucking, and then now you've inhaled some nice shit fumes that get you real high, Alabama high.
You've got to be kidding me, right?
I'm not kidding you. I'm serious as a heart attack.
Would
I've
you
done
use
it many times.
You've
That's
done
so horrified. No, of course I haven't done that. I wasn't that desperate. I'll just stay sober then. If that's the only thing on the menu, I'll just do it in au natural.
So you wouldn't be down with a cow patty either, right?
What, like you do what I did, but instead with a cow patty?
You said you didn't do it.
To do what I described, but with a cow patty.
It sounds like you have actually done this.
No, I haven't done it.
It sounds like you have.
All right, I did it once.
You did. I knew you did.
It was pretty nice. And
You-
actually, the different kind of feces you use gives you a different high. It's like how there's indica and sativa. Well, human shit and dog shit, give you different, like, buzzes.
Is that right? And then, of course, cow shit would be a whole different bag altogether.
Yeah, cow shit's got a different vibe. You know what I mean?
All right, so there's a name for this. It's called jenkem.
Yeah. Jankum. Twisted it off the jankum watching Iron Chef.
It's reported to be a popular street drug among Zambian children. So Alabama and Zambia, they got something in
What?
common.
Among
Zambia?
Zambian children? That sounds like some QAnon shit. These kids from fucking Zambia are huffing their own feces.
That's what it sounds like.
Where is Zambia?
It's in Africa.
They
And
need to get some drugs growing down there in Africa.
I felt the rains down in Africa.
Make some money. Get a little e-commerce going.
E-commerce being what? Ecstasy?
Or, start growing cocaine. There's got to be somewhere in Africa that has the climate for a coca plant.
They don't need it, though. They don't need it. They've got...
I think they do. They need something.
Well, they've got plenty of mineral wealth. You know what they need? They need a non-corrupt government. That's what they need.
But with jenkem, they get to have a hallucinogenic experience that's more potent than cannabis and lasts for around an hour. So do they
Hell yeah.
need better government, or do they just need more jenkem?
More jankum. More jankum. The secret ingredient was jankum.
I
Me
don't...
and my friends, we just sit around and jank them all day long
I bet you did.
till the cows come home so we can do more jankum.
I totally disapprove of this concept.
You know what I don't believe, though? I don't believe it's hallucinogenic. I feel like they say that, but people say cannabis can be hallucinogenic, and I'm like, you've clearly never hallucinated before.
I don't think I really ever have.
No, you haven't, because that's not what it does. Cannabis does not make you hallucinate.
No, I'm just saying I don't believe I've ever hallucinated in my life. Not in any
Really?
serious way. Yeah, really.
You never on mushrooms were like, oh, wow, the fucking carpet is dancing right now.
No, I never was. I never did. Now, the first time
You never saw like patterns moving and shit.
Yeah, a little bit, but I don't consider that to be really that big of a hallucination because even though I was seeing like some trees move as if they were truly living human beings, right? At the same time, I knew that it was not the case. I knew it was a visual effect.
In a hallucination, you're allowed to know that you're having one. Part of having a hallucination isn't believing what you're seeing, it's just seeing it.
Yeah,
or am I
that's just
wrong?
schizophrenia. if you believe it.
Well, I'm sorry. I want the full experience. I don't want just a visual effect. I would like to believe what I'm seeing is real. And if that makes me schizophrenic, well, then I'm just like dear old mom.
Wanting to believe what you see is real is not schizophrenia. Actually believing what you see is real is schizophrenia. But psychedelics don't make you, they're not going to make like a little leprechaun jump out from under your desk and you're like, oh shit, dude. The things that you do see, the visual input that your eye sends to your brain is enhanced.
I just want to see the little leprechaun jump out, especially here around Easter. Wanted to jump
Why?
out.
What's that asshole
Why?
going to tell you?
What's a leprechaun going to do at Easter? That's not his day.
Yeah. First off, you see a leprechaun on Easter, something's wrong. Something's up. Second, what is a stupid motherfucking bitch-ass leprechaun going to say to you? Oh, what is he going to offer? Some profound knowledge?
He's going to put on some kind of Conor McGregor voice, and he's going to say, I'm going to beat your ass unless you give me some Easter eggs. That's what he's going to say.
By Conor McGregor voice, do you mean an Irish accent?
Yes.
Conor McGregor didn't invent the Irish accent, just so you know. Dude, how funny would it be if it turned out Conor McGregor was from, like, Idaho? You know, he was not Irish at all.
He would probably take it to be a personal insult that we're even having this conversation and would, as a result, want to beat both of our asses.
I hope the next time you're on mushrooms that you see a little leprechaun that comes out and yells at you and says, just be grateful for the fucking hallucination and move the fuck on, mister.
I mean, I'm good without the hallucination, but the point is Conor McGregor is from Boise, confirmed. You know, he's putting on that fake bitch-ass accent because he can't fight.
So you're challenging Conor McGregor right now on this podcast to fisticuffs?
I would box him for $1. Sure.
Just $1?
But you know what, though? He would then become my favorite fighter of all time. If he was, like, not Irish at all, if his name was, like, you know, James Krubachev from Boise, and he has just no accent, but he was just putting it on to sound cool.
For the lulz.
Because his voice does sound like almost like a caricature of an Irish accent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you will do nothing. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
It is a little extra. I've been to Ireland, and it's much more Irish than anything I've ever heard.
It's an Irish hype machine.
Yeah, well, he needs to sell photos of him being blown by leprechauns.
Homeless leprechauns.
Homeless leprechauns. You took the words right out of my mouth.
I understand. It's that kind of a theme, this particular pod. The real point, though, of that discussion about the Nazi interrogator is simply that I knew right away after 9/11 that this decision to torture people was not going to end well for us. There's only one thing that really separates us from evil people, and that is the decision to commit evil. Torture is always evil. It's always wrong.
Yeah, the goal of torture is torture every time. That's what it is. I'm not a CIA agent. I'm not on the black site payroll. So, you know, I'm not the expert, but it just seems kind of common sense that, like, what are we doing the torturing for? Because as I said, actionable, reliable information is not going to be gained from torture. It's just not. It's just harder to tell if you're already going nuclear.
The Army's own manual for interrogations has long said for decades that torture is not an effective way to interrogate prisoners.
No, what's better than torture is the implication that torture may at some point happen. That's better than torture.
I don't even think you need to do that necessarily. You said it yourself. You got to create a relationship between you and the prisoner, and then they'll tell you what you need to know.
But the relationship is not, if all you do is just give them cigarettes and donuts, they're going to tell you to get bent.
No, they won't. They'll be your friend.
Well, actually, there's an even better way.
Yeah.
What you do is you strap them down, and then you just give them so much goddamn liquid LSD that they are blasted out of their brain. And then you could do all number of crazy things to get them to tell you everything. That's a good way to do it. That's what the CIA landed on as the closest thing to a truth serum that there is, was LSD.
I would not think that that would enhance the reliability of the information, though.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, I think it would. Like, your mind would be racing so hard, you're not going to be able to concoct a story. And I'm talking like an ungodly amount of LSD. So that any amount of visual or auditory stimulation would be enough to completely disorient them. Once you're tripping that hard, like, you can tell them things and make them believe things. There's any number of things you could do. As you said yourself, you got to keep them off balance. Well, this is a way to chemically make sure that their brain cannot be on balance. So much so that they couldn't fabricate a fake piece of information if they tried, unless they were some kind of
psychonaut and had a training division specifically for when you get captured and pumped full of psychedelics. But I think that would be the best way.
Well, I hope we never get an opportunity to find out.
I mean, I believe that's been done several times.
It has been
And
done.
you could never say that, obviously. It's certainly the American government couldn't say that we're using psychedelics to like extract information from these people.
But that really was part of MK Ultra, was the attempt to get a truth serum.
That's what I'm saying. All these agents, they tried many drugs for science, for the sake of American safety. They tried several drugs on themselves and other people to try to simulate the closest thing they could to a truth serum. And what they finally landed on, not saying that it's a truth serum, but it's the closest thing they ever got to, was LSD 25.
They did, and that happened. It's a bad thing that we did as a government, and it was bad that we promoted it not only in our own country but overseas.
That was like the very tip of the iceberg concerning our government's involvement in experiments on its own people in asylums and prisons, and also people at parties. Or, I don't have proof of this, but hey, why not? Or people we just snatched up off the side of the road.
Yeah, we don't have proof of that.
But would it be out of the realm of possibility, though?
I don't know what's possible, but I know what did actually happen.
You don't know what's possible.
No, I don't. But what I know did happen is that the Central Intelligence Agency had a secret program to test LSD on American citizens and did so without their knowledge or consent. That happened. That's a matter of fact.
Sure. I don't like the term, I don't know what's possible, though. You know what's possible.
Well, what's possible is literally anything.
Sure. You know, one of my friends who's like a smart guy, he's getting a master's degree right now in history, but he's so goddamn fucking narrow-minded sometimes. I was talking about, like, you know, with this pedophile problem that is like so deep-rooted and inherent in everything we do, in all of our systems of government and blah, blah, blah. Everyone's fucking kids. I'm not saying that there's definitely some satanic, weird, pagan, ritualistic sacrifice component to it. Not saying that's definitely happening. But I'm just saying, like, if it turned out somehow that there was irrevocable proof that also they was doing some satanic sacrifice your balls to Moloch shit, you know, why is that out of the question? If you're willing to kidnap, traffic, and fuck children, why would you draw the line at satanic rituals?
Who's they?
I don't know. Whoever the names were in Jeffrey Epstein's black book.
So
what do you mean, who's they? You think I got the names? If I got the names, I would have hung myself in a jail cell by now.
A fair point. Look, like you said, if they're willing to fuck a child, sure. I agree with that.
Why is satanic worship just completely impossible? And my buddy was like, no. He's like, there's nothing anyone could ever say or show me or whatever, anything ever to make me believe they were doing satanic shit. I'm like, what? Why? And he's like, that's just so outlandish and crazy. I'm like, how is that not any more outlandish than kidnapping and fucking children? I'm sorry. That seems pretty outlandish. If you asked me before I knew about the pedophilia problem in the world, like, what's the most evil, heinous thing you can do? I would say, like, you know, defile the innocence of children. That's in the top 3 at least. So, like, if they're doing that, which they are, I think we can all agree on that, that's happening, then why is weird culty shit out of the question? We all saw Eyes Wide Shut.
You will kindly remove your mask.
I don't think it's out of the question, but I also think when you're talking about sexual abuse, oftentimes you're talking about situations that are happening within families. And what that means is that, you know, when you talk about pedophilia, where does it happen most often? It's not stranger danger where pedophilia happens more often. It's in the home.
Yeah, but that's like a completely separate issue from what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your uncle being a creep. I'm talking about the systematic sale and trafficking of children by people in power. Yeah, pedophilia, a huge percentage, happens at home with someone you know, and that's a really fucked up and dangerous problem. But, like, there's a bigger issue at play here when the people who have the keys to the kingdom, powerful people, are, like, engaged in a ring of abducting and selling and fucking and whatever else children. I mean, that's not really the same issue as interfamily pedophilia.
It may not be the same issue, but the impact on the victims, how is it any less?
It's not any less. I mean, of course, the impact on the victims is the same either whether it's fucking you were kidnapped and fucked by Ronald Reagan in the White House or by your uncle, your innocence is destroyed. I mean, there's unquantifiable damage that is done to your psyche that will have whatever butterfly effect on the rest of your thoughts for the rest of your life. The impact, sure, is the same. But I'm just saying, like, Cops, elected officials, judges, attorney generals, state prosecutors, when they break the law, they should get a harsher punishment than anyone else, right? Just on paper, the people who are supposed to uphold the law and therefore have a very, very good understanding of what the law is, when they break it, they should be judged harsher than anyone else, right?
Actually, from a legal standpoint, the answer is not necessarily. Every case should be taken on its own merits in the eyes of the law.
No, I don't agree with that at all. If a police officer is breaking the law intentionally and knowingly, as a police officer, your crime that you have committed is greater than a civilian. You're the fucking guy that's supposed to protect people from this, and you're using your position to do the opposite. You're able to commit crimes to a degree and with a frequency that would otherwise be impossible if you were a regular fuck. So instead, you put on the face of someone who's doing their job, someone who's doing the right thing, and you're using that to do exactly the opposite. How is that not worse?
Well, it's at least as bad. I'll say that. It's no better.
I mean, make no mistake, the opposite happens. Cops murder people with impunity. They kick in the door, they kill the wrong person, oops, wrong address, whatever, no problem. Did you hear about the South Dakota or North Dakota, wherever the fuck, some state prosecutor who hit a dude, killed his ass, waited 15 hours, then called the cops and said, I think I may have hit a deer?
If we didn't talk about it, it's worth talking about again. It's the South Dakota Attorney General.
So they found the guy who they hit's glasses in his car, whether his fucking glasses flew off from when he hit him or whether he stopped the car and retrieved the glasses, I don't know. But it was obvious that he hit a man, he was wasted, and he knew it. So he went home, waited 15 hours, and then called the cops. Why would that man, why would he not be dealt with way more harshly than someone else who did the same thing? Some regular asshole truck driver who did the same thing.
Well, he may not have a prior criminal record.
You are just not cooperating with me on this. It's not about fucking goddamn prior criminal record. Like, this is a simple moral question. Someone who is supposed to uphold the law, someone you're supposed to be able to trust, when someone in power breaks the rules, they should be dealt with more harshly than someone without power breaking the rules. Yes or yes?
No, but I'll tell you this. This guy, Jason Ravensborg, that's his name. He sounds like a character from Game of Thrones, doesn't he? Jason Ravensborg? That's his name.
No, I don't, not necessarily. I mean, names in Games of Thrones should be judged on a case-by-case basis.
Well, he is only charged with 3 misdemeanors in striking and killing this man. 3 misdemeanors. He's not even charged with a felony.
It's ridiculous.
Well, he sometimes, things need to be on a case-by-case basis. Maybe he deserved to have 3 misdemeanors.
He could face up to 30 days in jail and up to a $500 fine on each misdemeanor charge of careless driving out of his lane, and while on his phone.
Your absolute refusal to agree with me has completely flipped my opinion on the thing, and I think that's a fair charge. Hey, he's a good guy. He was the attorney general.
It's
he
outrageous.
had all the power, and he abused it. That makes him worthy of having a lighter sentence.
From my point of view, obviously this guy should be buried under the jail cell with everybody else. Not only was this loss of life tragic and avoidable, but he didn't do the right thing. I don't understand why he's not being charged with leaving the scene of an accident. That's generally a crime. And I don't understand why he's not being charged with vehicular manslaughter. That's a thing, isn't it?
I understand perfectly why. See, here's the thing. As the attorney general, as a man who holds power in office, he is, on a higher level than us lower class citizens. Same thing with cops, same things with judges, senators, all that. When they commit the same crime that, say, a poor person might, they should be treated with a lighter sentence because they're better than us.
It's not that they're better. It's just that they're more equal.
Sure, more equal. Hey, they put in service to their state, to their country, and to Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, and therefore should be given a lighter sentence. Now, say if I was drunk as shit and hit somebody in my car and then didn't report it until 15 hours later, and even then when I did report it, lied to the police and say I thought I hit a deer even though the glasses of the deceased were located in my vehicle, I should be killed by a circular firing squad immediately.
You should be given a fair trial first, but then killed.
Well, yeah, I should be given a trial and then killed.
Well,
the outcome of the trial should be decided, of course, long beforehand, but I'd be given a trial and then killed immediately, as should any poor person committing any crime. If you're poor and you're committing crimes, you should be killed without trial. I mean, a trial for TV, sure, in a Judge Judy type scenario, just for entertainment, so we can fill the block of 3 to 5. But if you're poor and you commit crimes, you should be executed.
But honestly, I mean, if you're poor, you should just be killed anyway. Am I right?
Yeah. If you're not laboring, if you're not landscaping or washing my dishes or picking my fruit or making little phones with your tiny little hands as a child, you should be executed. I'm just saying what we're all thinking. Execute the poor. I mean, what good are you in this world if you don't have wealth? If you're a poor,
sucking on the government tit,
sucking on the government's teat, you should be exterminated like the cockroaches you are. Me included. And I would say, America, America, boom! A firing squad at your door, pulling you out because you're poor as shit, yeah. Execute grandma because she's a burden on society.
You know, you do get at a real problem with modern society, which is, how do you value life? The answer is, without justice, there is no value on life. And so this is what you're speaking to. We've got to have justice. Man, give me some justice.
Just because you were born in this earth as a human being does not mean that your life is going to have value. There's too many fucking people. And I'm so serious. And whether you're willing to admit this or not, but there are many people who, if they were literally wiped off the face of the earth right now, you wouldn't care because it would not matter.
Well, that's true of everyone that's not in your immediate circle.
Exactly.
That's the human condition, but we've got to get over that, because if we don't start really thinking about the other people who are outside of our immediate circle, if we don't start thinking holistically as a society, we will perish. And that's funny in and of itself, because we're the smartest creatures that have ever lived. And if we can't get our shit together, we're the smartest creatures that have ever lived on this planet. Isn't that funny in a way, that we would wipe ourselves out? We, the smartest fucking creatures on this planet? Am I the only one that's amused by that?
It just seems like if we had like a ray gun that you shoot an animal in the head with it and it gives them sentience, and they're like, oh God, and then they start talking and shit.
Are we talking about rabbits here?
It doesn't really matter. But let's set the scene here. Humankind, it's an Elysium type thing. We don't even live on Earth anymore. We live in fabulous space stations that orbit the Earth. And as a goof, we decide to imbue an entire race of animals with sentience on par with ours. But obviously they're going to have to start from the dark ages and work their way up like we did. I feel like if you just increased their intelligent quotients to what ours is, but they're still a primitive society, they would just behave in the exact same way we do. It seems like humans as a species are just animals that all of a sudden just gained intelligence. Because even though we can achieve all these marvelous wonders, all these technological advances and these architectural wonders, these things throughout society that we have done together as a species, we still just cannot stop killing each other. We can't do it. We can't stop. We can't stop exploiting each other, enslaving each other, fucking each other against their wills. We can't stop. And it's like, this is proof that we're just animals who like got too fast, too quick. It's what it seems like to me.
But this is why I have really come to appreciate Buddhism. Because Buddhism says this: listen, your actions in this world, you, not all of mankind, your actions determine what will happen to you in this life and the next. And that just seems like so much common sense to me.
Yeah, it did until you said the next. I mean, obviously there is the next. And if there were, how the fuck would you know?
Why does it matter?
Because you're lying. Now you're telling tall tales. Now you're fibbing a little bit. Or you're at least talking about shit you have no idea what you're talking about. Boom. In the next. All right, well, now I'm smelling bullshit. Don't matter who it is. Buddha, Muhammad, Jesus. As soon as you start talking about what happens after you get your brains bashed in to your consciousness, I'm starting to smell a little bullshit on the air.
But either way, if the first part of the sentence is, you behave in a certain way for the quality of this life, what's wrong with that?
I'm on board.
You're on board. Okay, great.
I'm on board for that. And also that has little to nothing to do with what I just said. I was saying that it almost, when I think about it, makes it seem like maybe aliens did come and see like a group of monkeys and just blasted their brains with a smart ray. And that's how humans, no other animal has had such brain development in such a short amount of time that we have. And the way that we act despite ourselves, as I said, we have achieved so many marvelous things through cooperation and the use of our minds, chemistry and physics. Like, we're starting to learn all of it, but like, we can't stop killing each other. We fucking can't stop doing it. The violence, the exploitation, the greed, we can't breed it out, which makes me feel like we just were animals who, through one way or another, got too smart too fast. I feel like if you did this to dolphins, you just shot them with the smart ray, they would just start doing what we did, which was, become incredibly tribal and territorial, which some animals already are, which again feeds into my we're acting like animals thing here because we're so fucking territorial and tribal.
But that's just it. We like to act like we're not animals, but guess what? We are.
The only thing that potentially separates oneself from an animal is one's decision not to act like an animal. And that's up to every individual.
And that's what the smart beam did. It gave us the ability to not act like an animal. But we're still animals, though, so you have to actively, consciously not act like an animal. Otherwise, you revert back to your true nature.
That's a fact. You're talking about the issue of concentration and mindfulness. Because if you're not thinking about what you're thinking, then chances are you're thinking on autopilot. Unless you are doing something with full attention, chances are you're not doing it very well at all. That's reality, too.
I don't know. It's very easy to become disillusioned with society and the way humans treat each other. But also at the same time, you're like, we have done so much crazy shit. I mean, obviously, we're setting the bar. No fucking other animals even coming close. But, just some of the shit that we've built, the sculptures, the art, the sciences, it's so very impressive. And yet, you would think, like, are we not done with the whole killing each other over land shit? We've got so much more important shit to do that we are doing, learning about the secrets of the universe. If we were truly some enlightened species, I would think that we would be able to stop with all this senseless violence and exploitation and all the shit, but we can't. We just can't do it. We can't. We never could.
We haven't been able to yet, but that doesn't mean that we won't ever be able to. The future truly does have unbelievable and unlimited potential. I don't know what it's going to hold. I know it's going to be a lot different than it was because the amount of change that the human race is going through remains unprecedented and it continues to accelerate. When you are my age, son, things won't be the same.
There's going to be wars over water. That's what's going to be when I'm your age. The world is going to be a wasteland and people will be fighting over water.
I don't think that that's necessarily true. It might be true, but it doesn't have to be. It all depends on us.
Yeah, you're making my point for me. It all depends on us, these fucking animals who can't stop killing and raping each other. We have yet to do it one time. Never once has there ever been like a whole fiscal year where nothing bad happened. And now it doesn't seem on paper that hard to me. I've never killed or raped anyone, and it seems like easy to not do. So it makes you wonder, like, why can't we all just not do it? Well, because first off, there's too many people. Too many people are allowed to breed, which just numerically, statistically is going to allow too many psychos into the gene pool, too much value on human life, and at the same time, not enough.
I like to think that the majority of people doing the right thing tends to outweigh the number of people doing the wrong thing. Or maybe it's just all net neutral because there has to be balance in the force. Look for the good, choose to be the good, and choose to not associate with the bad, but it's never going to not be with us. That's why people seek religion.
Yeah, because they can't handle it. They can't handle taking responsibility for their own actions or just flying by the seat of your pants. Realizing that absolutely none of this is like scripted or in control. But here's the thing, Dad, you have this optimism about the future that I would also share if we weren't also destroying. Like if there was some way to guarantee that Earth was going to last and be habitable no matter what we did to it, then I'd be like, yeah, eventually, over time, we'll work the kinks out. But we don't have time to work the kinks out anymore. We're fucking shit up so bad because we got too smart too fast that, the Earth's going to be a fucking literally nothing but a ball of dirt. It's going to be Mars by the time we are able to figure the shit out. Our treatment of the planet is going to restrict resources to such a degree that like harmoniousness and getting together and intelligence and all that shit is not going to be on the menu anymore.
You know what? You may be right. It's been predicted since the 1970s that this pessimistic view would come to pass for one way or another, and it hasn't yet. But that doesn't mean that it won't. On the other hand, I choose to believe that we're going to get it figured out. And we're taking steps to try and make that happen as a species. Do I think the odds are long and the risks are high and the chance of failure is real? Absolutely. As long as there are nuclear weapons on this planet, we run the risk of annihilating ourselves through an accidental or deliberate exchange of those weapons. So, no, I don't think that it's going to be easy, and I don't think that success is guaranteed. But I do believe that there is still the potential for success amongst humankind. I refuse to completely give in to pessimism and say that it's too late. I don't believe it. Now, I could be proven wrong as well, but the only thing that we can do is try and live ethically. It's not easy, but that's all that we can do to try and make the difference that we can make for right now.
Do you understand what I mean when I say, like, if we had unlimited time, if we knew this Earth was going to be habitable, I'd be like, yeah, we'll work the kinks out. We'll have to tire of all the bloodshed and kidnapping and slave running and all. Like, we will outgrow it eventually. Except here's one snag in that, is that, like, we're running out of time. The industrial and agricultural processes through which we maintain our way of life on this earth in this day and age is exponentially increasing the rate at which the earth will not be livable for humans anymore. And once it gets to a certain tipping point, not even full Mad Max point, just a certain tipping point, working the kinks out is not on the menu anymore. What's on the menu is just pure survival. That is going to happen at some point if we don't change as a species. Are people trying to do that? Yes. Are there entire countries trying to do that? Yes. But, like, the true damage, the extent, the actual ramifications were covered up for a long time. So most people, even most governments, weren't even fully aware of how bad we were fucking ourselves, how bad we're shooting ourselves in the foot environmentally, until it was to the point where, like, we all got to get on board right fucking now.
And we're still not all on board. Happy Easter.
Happy fucking Easter.
Easter? Hardly knew her.
Hey, did the Easter Bunny come to your house?
Is that a euphemism for...
For what?
For being assaulted in the night?
No, it's the Easter Bunny. It's this rabbit that comes and brings you eggs and shit like that.
He was in the tomb with Jesus, right?
Yes.
Hold on, I'm a little confused on the timeline here. Jesus was crucified and then came back after that, right?
Yeah, the Easter Bunny brought him.
Yeah, after sucking him in a cave for 3 days, and we all know that, and that's in the Bible. But
Sucked him to life, yeah.
I'm not including any of this.
You better. I'm going to be mad if it's not in there, if it's not in the final cut. And it obviously wasn't a real bunny. It was just a man in a bunny suit, which Jesus concocted through the miracle of his divine magic. But how did he die after that?
He didn't die. He ascended into heaven. He just flew back up into heaven.
He was just like, peace, and then fire started shooting out of his feet, and he rocketed into heaven?
Yes.
Really? Obviously not the whole editorialized version, but, like, it never in the Bible says, like, he died of old age or he...
No, he ascended back into heaven. He hung around for like 40 days, something like that. And then he was like, well, I'm tired of it now and goodbye.
Yeah, that 40-day period, for whatever reason, is not well documented, but there's some general speculation or assumption amongst certain sectors that during that 40 days, he just, like, magically appeared to various groups of people around the world to make sure that everyone knew he was back in town, bitches.
And then he left again and never came back. He hasn't been back in 2,000 years.
The Christ is back in town. The Christ is back in town.
The Christ is back.
Christ is back in town, and he's gonna absolve that ass. So whether you like it or not, do you want your kids to go to hell?
What I like about popping into other places in the world during those 40 days is, like, if that actually happened, they'd be like, who the fuck are you and why the fuck do we care?
Who are you, and what is this strange jet you just flew in on? The Jesus Force One.
Yeah, so he appeared and then he disappeared.
Lame. It would have been awesome if he got crucified again. You know what I mean? They just caught him and they're like, okay, buddy, we're not going to goof around on this one. We're going to do it upside down this time.
You're right, though. I mean, you would think that Pontius Pilate, once he found out about that, would be pretty pissed off. Hey, I thought I crucified you once already.
Yeah, let's go get that fucking guy. Are you kidding me? He crawled back out of that hole we threw him into? Let's get him. The Jesusaurus Rex. What else was I going to say about him? About that motherfucker.
I don't think he was ever documented as fucking his mother.
I don't think so.
Was he ever documented as definitely not fucking his mother, though?
Good point.
I'm just asking questions. You don't learn unless you ask questions.
It is a little weird, though, if you think about it, because God is the father of Jesus, so Mary is both the mother of God, but also the sexual partner of God.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
And the daughter.
You're just talking about the name, though.
What do you mean the name? No, I'm talking about Mary, mother of God. Mary, Queen of Scots or whatever her name is.
Mary Johnson.
So you're
I think was her
saying
name.
that they had a sexual relationship for real?
No, not Jesus and
Didn't
Mary.
they?
Whew, I was like, what?
God's the Father, Jesus is the Son. Mary has this, she's both the sexual partner of God, but also the mother of God because Jesus Christ is also God.
Is that the real Oedipal complex then? Is that where it comes
Edible complex.
from? Oedipal.
Like Oedipus Rex.
Oedipus.
But if you turn that into a descriptor, it's
Oedipal. Yeah, sure. I get it.
One would just presume that God could just like point at her and impregnate her, right? Like, because he's God,
That's
right?
kind of what he
What
did.
a roundabout way to save humanity. I just want God to explain to me, what the fuck are you doing? What was the point of Jesus Christ? First off, like, what was the point of all that rigmarole?
The point was to forgive you. That was the point.
So instead of just forgiving you, he impregnated a woman, I'm not going to say against her will, but without her knowledge, and then made that weird test tube baby be tortured to death, brought back, and then you just abducted him into the sky to forgive humans? For what?
Happy Easter.
Are you trying to end the show right now?
Yes.
Anyway, I hope you had a good Easter.
Yeah, I mean, does it work?
So are you working on a regular basis now?
Just on the weekends. I don't do this job for money at all. I do it as a favor to my friend because he needs help sometimes. Like, literally, that money could just never come in. They could never pay me and I wouldn't even notice because I don't count on that money or do it for the money. I'm doing it as a favor.
How's your vaccination going?
Not good.
No? I thought they opened it up to people over 16 in Nebraska.
Yeah, but there's no available appointments. And like, I don't know which vaccine to get. I mean, I've heard some of them are not as good as others.
No, they're all fine.
They're all good.
Don't worry about it at all. Moderna, Pfizer, J&J, they're all fine.
All three of them better than the one you're not getting.
Fair. Doesn't Johnson & Johnson make fucking baby powder?
They've been in the pharmaceutical industry since like the beginning of time.
We are
Some
stuck.
kid at my job told me I should have a podcast. I was talking to him about sugar, how bad sugar is for you, and how it's like the ultimate drug. People think cocaine, heroin, sugar is looking at those drugs like you just fucking amateur hour.
So did you tell this guy, I do have a podcast, or are you too ashamed of this podcast?
Well, I couldn't. He's like, you should have a podcast. And I was like, I do. And he's like, oh my God, what is it? I'm like, you're going to have to find it yourself. And also this kid in question, he's going to college and somewhere in California to get a degree to be a youth minister.
Perfect.
So I was like, you're probably not going to like the content of the show. My family, and I threw all of you under the bus, of course, even though I'm the worst offender. I said my family's not very nice about organized religion.
It's true. We all think it's a hoax, because it is.
Only because it's so obviously hooey.
Organized religion is, but certain religious or philosophical precepts, very useful in life.
Well, yeah, they're useful for people who...
No, they're useful for people because morality is the basis of good decision making.
You can have good morals and make good decisions without relying on the teachings of some dead asshole from 5,000 years ago. You can just have empathy. Having empathy is really all you need to be a good person. You don't need any philosophy or religion. Sure, you can pick it up if you want, if you don't trust yourself. But like, literally do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and you should be all right. I mean, you're still going to get fucked by people who are bad. But like, as far as you go, your morals and how you deal with the world, just be nice to people.
You're a better person than I am, son.
I mean, I'm not nice to people.
Right, but you should be. You know you
but
should
I could be. I know that I should be and that I have the capacity to. I just don't like stupid people. You know why? Because I view myself as like below average intelligence. So like, I feel like if someone is not on my level, then I'm like, what the fuck have you been doing with your life? Because I fucked off everything. You need to be at least on my level. I'm a dumbass. If you're not even dumbass level, then I can't do it. I can't do it, which is why I'm a bad teacher.
You're a great teacher.
And a good son.
And a
All right.
good person.
I could be. You could be such a good person. You could have such good morals and values.
Yeah, I've seen worse. I've seen worse.
Right.
Love you. Bye.
All right. Bye.
A Shin Show is a production of Shinfluence. It features the voices and opinions of the Shin family, which are entirely and exclusively their own. Join us each week on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks as always to our regular listeners. We love to hear from you, so if you have a question, comment, recommendation, or idea you would like to submit to A Shin Show, please email us at ashinshow@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.